I'm so glad you're joining in today. We're having lots of fun this month as we find out what it means to have patience. Let's read this definition together, okay? Patience is waiting until later for what you want now. Raise your hand if you think it can be tough to be patient sometimes. It can be tough, like when you want to say something to your grown-up, but they say, just give me a minute, but you know it's not going to be a minute. Or when you raise your hand at school and you're waiting and waiting and waiting on your teacher to call on you and your arm gets sore. Yes, it can be hard to be patient. But if we're not patient, it can really cost us. And I think you're going to see what I mean when I tell you the story of Esau. And his story can be found in the book of Genesis, chapter 25. But we're going to go back up a little bit to his grandpa. And we're going to start way back, almost to the very beginning of the Bible, with a man named Abraham. Abraham made a promise to God made a promise to Abraham that he would be the father of a great nation. And Abraham had a son named Isaac. And when Isaac grew up, he married Rebekah. Isaac and Rebekah eventually had 2 boys, twins actually. And you know what? They were already fighting and wrestling before they were even born. God said this to Rebekah. Let's read it together. 2 nations are in your body. 2 tribes that are now inside you will be separated. 1 nation will be stronger than the other. The older son will serve the younger one. Genesis 25:23. Now the time came for Rebekah to have her babies. Esau was born first, and he had a head full of red hair. Then Jacob was born. And fun fact, when Jacob was born, he was holding on to Esau's foot. It's almost like they were fighting to see who was going to be born first. Can you imagine that? I can't. Jacob and Esau were very different. Esau grew up to be a skillful hunter while Jacob was happy to stay at home and keep busy. And one day, Jacob was cooking stew. And Esau came in from hunting in the open country. He was very, very hungry, so he told Jacob to give him some stew. But Jacob had another idea. So what he said to his brother, Jacob replied, first tell me the rights that belong to you as the oldest son in the family. What? See, back then, the oldest son had the right to be the new leader of the family when the father passed away. And this is what we call a birthright. It was a really big deal. And Jacob was saying that Esau could have some stew if he traded his birthright for it. Doesn't that sound crazy? What do you think Esau did? Well, let's read together and see. Look, I'm dying of hunger, Esau said. What good are those rights to me? Esau thought that bowl of soup was more important than his birthright. He agreed to the trade. He just couldn't wait another minute to fill his belly. Esau gave his birthright to Jacob in exchange for stew, a meal that would last him only a few hours before he was hungry again. Esau's impatience for that next meal cost him his birthright for life. And while that seems like a crazy dumb trade, the truth is that when we are impatient, we can act without thinking. We might even do or say something we wish we hadn't. And then we might end up losing out on something important. Esau's impatience really cost him in a big way, all because he wasn't willing to wait. Bottom line, let's read it together. If you don't wait, it could cost you. Boys and girls, when you start to feel impatient, think about what you could lose out on if you don't wait. You might miss out on some privileges at home or something fun that your family was planning to do together. If you can't wait, you might end up settling for something that's less than what is best. But here's another way to look at it. If being impatient will cost you, imagine what you will gain if you're willing to wait. And you know what, this week's activities? Well, let's just say you'll have something to gain if you're willing to wait. Let's close with this month's memory verse, okay? Let's say it together. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and don't lose hope. Wait for the Lord. Psalm 27:14. I hope you have a really great week, boys and girls, and have fun and be patient.